Shalom, when the stuff souls but given no praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kalkadash. Double honors to the apostles of great millstone and honors you brothers doing the work of the most on truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name with whom the world ably calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. Son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahushua, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning da, and Sham meaning names, Yahweh, and the name of Yahweh Shai. Real quick, just wanted to touch on the latest boring news story, if you will, right? And yeah, it's just, I forgot who said it, originally said it, but I know the apostles quote, regularly, that, these elites, they're not, prolific. Okay, they are, they just have that same playbook and they run it over and over and over again. And then, they get the media apparatus to, add validity to it, because that's what it is. This man, he works off of witchcraft, right? Everything that he does is, basically casting an enchantment on people, right? The whole, repeat it several times, right? And then, people will believe it, right? And that's what all America's ever been about. It's been about witchcraft, right? This jump is Isaiah 47, right? In fact, let me read, what you call it, from the top, and then I'll jump to the point that I want. Right, it says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Right, for thou shalt be no more cold, tender, and delicate." Right, and as you see, in the breakdown there, right, so that dust represents confusion. Okay, right, and tender and delicate, touching on the fact that America has never known a proper attack, right, a proper a loss of life, right, because the examples that they give, right, aren't exactly, when you look into it, right, just like we're seeing here, right, there was always reasoning behind it. Right, verse 2 says, "Take the millstone and grind meal, and cover thy locks, and make bare the leg, and cover thy thigh, pass over the rivers." Right, these Edomites are being, uncovered. Right, as we read here in verse 3, right, it says, "Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I'll take vengeance, and I'll not meet thee as a man." Right, so that first part is basically talking about America being revealed. Right, you see, the precepts said, let's get some of them. Right, it says Psalm 64 and 8, right, it says, "So shall they make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see thee shall flee away." Right, so from a whole load of truthers, if you will, right, he thought that he could control that, right, because that's one of the things he'll do. He'll get like a Alex Jones or a David Icke or whatever, what have you, to give you half truths, right, and then he basically will label those individuals as X, Y, and Z, right, so that basically when you then repeat those talking points, people just mock you. Oh, you heard that from Alex Jones, or you heard it from David Icke. Oh, do you believe in lizard people as well? Right, as it says in verse 6 here, right, it says, "They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep." Right, and that diligent search, touching on that now from the context of psychology, right, this Edomite understands psychology. He understands the way of man and how man thinks and processes, right, and therefore is able to manipulate situations. He understands that if you have someone making a point, but the point being made is, but the individual, right, is what's the word I'm looking for, is basically looked down on, right, then people won't bother believing it. Okay, so that's it, right. So he's got these truthers that he set up, these truthers that are basically being used to preach the truth, talk about certain points in what's happening, right. They go left, but that's why you've got the prophets of the apostles on down to come out and really tell the world what exactly is happening. Right, Obadiah 1 and 6 is, "How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?" Right, and that's it, right. Basically America, Esau, right, beginning with these American Edomites, they're being, basically being spoken about, right. The things that were hidden before are being spoken about, to the point where there was already a Lego animation, allegedly from Iran, just talking about how it's a bloody it's another psyop, man, right. Because what you came in right to where the president is shooting, and then like you didn't get taken out. Like, are we actually supposed to believe this, right? You're just there, all apprehended on the ground. And there's pictures of this guy allegedly with an IDF jumper, right? Mixed race Donny. All we know is the terror. I'm saying that facetiously, but so-called mixed race, because there's no such thing, right? But when you look into, when basically the news broke, I went to the Guardian here in the UK, and when they're doing a live feed, right, about the correspondence dinner in general, right? But what I saw was the fact that earlier on, like maybe an hour or so before Trump allegedly arrived, right, they were talking about how in that same hotel, right, is where Reagan got, there was an assassination attempt on Reagan, okay? And what do you call it? It's 45 years to the day, right? And Trump is the 45th president, right? And 47th, right? 45 and 47, right? Same hotel, same trope, and it's just like, man, it's getting boring now. I'm saying that, jokingly, but it is just like, yo, this is Esau for you, isn't it? Right? Just running the same old playbook, and it's one of those ones where, like, I'm surprised at, maybe at the time I had a lot of breaking news, but they're trying to keep the story running, but people are just like, yo, come on, Esau, man. Right, we've seen this all before. Right, so let's go back to Isaiah 47, the point that I was trying to bring out before. Right, it says Isaiah 47 and 12. It says, stand now with thine enchantments, right, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Right, that enchantment going again into the witchcraft, right, that this man is constantly pushing, right? He's constantly pushing spells, upon the people, right? But that power is basically being, taken away, because more and more, right, starting off the apostles on down, there's truth, right? But then also by way of these truths and stuff like that, Esau's skirt is being lifted up, right? I doubt how many people, like, normally there's certain people that, I used to work or whatever have you, who would send me, articles if, this, that, and the other. But it's just like, I ain't even got anything from them, because there is, just that same prevailing sentiment amongst a lot of people that this is just some old BS, right? And that once again is just something that is at this point just well known, that we're just, going through psyop after psyop after psyop, right? And the individual that did it, because when I saw the name, I was just like, yeah, it's probably an Edomite or whatever, right? But then you see it's a Jake, right? You can see that accusation, right, is being ready, right, to be prepared, right? This is Revelation at 12 and 10, and I heard a loud voice, in heaven. It's a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our power, and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night, right? He saw, he accused us to the Most High, right? But he's about to make an accusation against us to the world, right? Because he knows that he hath but a short time, right? Verse 12, it says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, right? Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time, right? So he knows he's got a short time left, right? Also forget whether it's 2 and 10 or 3 and 10. Right, it's 2 and 10, Revelation 2 and 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Right, which that's not a literal 10 days, it's figurative, right? It says about that, be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life, right? So he's going to bring up all these accusations. He's going to, come down, right, such that he, and he's using instances like this, because it was like, bro, like what Jake, is going to try storm the bloody, the president's there. It's like, bro, Secret Service will take you out. Like, if it's true, like, the Secret Service will just take you out, right? So, all of these situations are being used to, would you call it, are basically being used to prepare the accusation against the men of the law, right? And he knows that he's got a short time, but do you know what the beautiful thing is, right? You know, the Most High is in control, right? It's Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, then the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. Right. So we read about that flood in verse 12, Revelation 12:12. But when Esau comes with it, guess what? Right, the Lord is going to raise up a standard, because as the apostles broke down, right, this time around the Lord, is coming to save. Right. Yes, some of us are going to be, martyred for this thing. Right. We read that in Revelation 2. Right. You can also read that in Revelation 20. Right. Those that basically got martyred. I'll say it like that. For the witness of the Lord. Right. But there was a precept that was in my mind. I can't think of it at the moment. Right. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. It's just a story of the day. But yeah, it's just, yeah, Esau, man. Esau, man. You just getting boring now, right? So as always, Lord, what I was edifying. Till next time, we say shalom.